So you read your horoscope?
Yes, but not super in-depth. The thing about the eclipse is that I almost stay away from the astrology of it all because it is so it feels as though I just try my best to lean into surrender to a greater amount, whereas with normal new moons I more so tend to be more in the intention setting.
Yeah.
But with an eclipse, I almost just don't even want to look at the astrology and just kind of want to just focus on
the present moment.
Yeah, rather than making calls or envisioning things. I almost feel like the best thing I can do is just to
be
and maybe even forget that it's eclipse season.
That is your intuition talking, because eclipse season is not the time at all for intention setting, even when it's a new moon eclipse. You know, moon manifestation with the new moons, those are seeding points for our free will intention and energy of co-creation, but the eclipses are driven by fate.
Right.
So it's a time when things happen to us that we have less control over than we might like to admit. It's not a time to direct your life, it's a time to be guided. So I think that really makes sense.
Yeah, and that's really cool, and it super coincides with the whole concept of surrender. And honestly, that's been my theme for the past however long now. So long now. Pretty much ever since I moved to Austin. And, you know, there's been two sides to it, because I think through it, to an extent, unknowingly, so it's funny, I really swung, as you say, the pendulum in both directions, and I'm slowly coming to a place of greater balance within myself as far as the balance between the powerful co-creator and really magical, mystical, spiritually attuned co-creator of my life experience, where I know I really can embody any role and receive any blessing in my life that's truly aligned with my heart. And that's a beautiful thing, obviously. But I feel like in the first leg of my spiritual awakening, it was all that. You know, like the first...
Let me take my power and do what I want with it. Yeah. Look at what I can do. Like me.
I'm a manifester.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like right when Just Like Magic came out.
I'm
so
God.
Yeah.
I'm God. Yeah. Right.
Big time. And I think, too, the way whatever evolutionary levels there are built into a pattern of continual spiritual awakening and growth in consciousness, I do think that the universe designs it so that at first it is a really big moment of showing you
what you can do,
how good of a manifester, because then
validating that.
Yes,
agreed.
It's a faith growing mechanism.
Yeah,
when you start setting intentions and they manifest, and then it keeps
if
building
that didn't
and
happen
building.
You wouldn't keep going. Yeah, because you'd be like, you'd stop right there. You'd be like, what the fuck is this? There's not anything.
It would have been the same as religion to me, and religion was always meaningless to me. It was always void of substance, whereas spirituality, things were shifting before my eyes.
Yeah.
And the way I was seeing the world was shifting very rapidly. So I think that the first leg of my spiritual awakening was all about that. And to an imbalanced degree.
Which is also, I think, a natural part of the story. Let me show you just how much you aren't God by showing you just how much you'll get wrong. Just how much you'll create for yourself that you never meant to. Just how much you'll blow up everything in front of your eyes by thinking that you could do anything you wanted on your terms and, in a sense, think that you were invincible.
The phase where you get extremely humbled.
Yeah.
And you end up, in my case, making a big mess of your life.
Word.
And
I'm
also, yeah. And then you have pretty much the whole entire next year to sift through, you know, the remains of whatever bombs you set off the year prior.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's fucking crazy because you will be humbled. But I think I'm at the point now where I've been so humbled that I'm almost neglecting the very magical part of me and the beautiful part of my relationship to a spirit and a higher power of my own understanding and my own soul, that it's not that I'm afraid to begin really deliberately manifesting, but it's like such a...
We're always manifesting.
Right.
We're always manifesting. It's just how aware of it can you be? How much can you listen? How much can you pay attention? How much can you see and take note of? It's... What do you mean you're neglecting it? What does neglecting it look like? You're not showing up for the action step, or what?
To an extent, the alignment between desires and actions, but I have continuously grown. I've seen myself get incrementally better. And we had a conversation at the Aries new moon when you said, if you really start to spiritually pull your own weight in this matter, and not just spiritually, physically, mentally, and emotionally, if you really start to improve in certain realms of your life that you want improvement, and you put in...
Do something.
Do your side of the street, essentially. You said then at the Libra new moon, and 2 weeks from that, it'll be a checkpoint. Libra full moon. And, you know, that's when I had some really powerful healing work done. And then... I know, obviously, then following the astrological patterns, then there would be the Aries full moon in 6 months, and then the Aries new moon in a whole year. So there's that, but there's these things, when I say not manifesting, I've let go of a lot of the disillusion and lack around the things I quote unquote don't have. But with that, I've lost the urge to really, so when I say manifest, I more so mean deliberately intention set around specific objectives, like I want a Range Rover.
Who cares? Right?
I know.
Desirelessness.
So what's the distinction between desirelessness and non-attachment and surrender, and teetering too far and not being in touch with the part of you
that dreams?
Yeah, that dreams. And that receives blessings that God wants to give. And it's, you know, a co-creative experience, and it's half of the beauty.
I love thinking about this because I think that this is something really meaty that you are chewing on here.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of layers to it.
What strikes me first to comment on and to share with you is that from my perspective, as your friend and your sister, and as someone who has seen your journey very close up for a long time. What you just said to me represents more growth. What you just said to me is an evolution. It's more abundant because the angsting for a Range Rover
Right.
is just searching for a feeling of significance that we project onto material possessions.
Yes.
And that's what Taurus is about. And something special about this particular energy right now is that there's a stellium, a concentration, a traffic jam of planets in Taurus. Resources, material possessions, things of value. Not just our internal value systems, but the external material world as well. It's an earth sign. Money. Juxtaposed with a concentration, a stellium, a traffic jam of planets in Pisces. The oneness, the desirelessness, right? Pisces is thought of as being quote-unquote weak-willed. It's the opposite of Aries. Aries is my desire, what I want, my ego, my self-concept. Pisces is the universal consciousness. And they're in harmonious relationship to one another. So it's about understanding.
What's the aspect?
It's a sextile. So it's through intention that we activate this kind of harmonious action. It's understanding and making the shift to things of more eternal Pisces value, Taurus. Because a Range Rover doesn't have eternal value. It barely lasts 7 years before it's in the shitter, right? So it's about eternal value.
Eternal value. That's a crazy phrase. Yeah.
So I see that as something to honor in you. I see that as something beautiful in you. And if there's a part of you that worries this means that I'm not, well, what happens if I don't want anything anymore? Which is acknowledging that a part of you still would like to have and experience those things. And a worry that if you aren't yearning for it, that you somehow wouldn't receive them. But not yearning for them is one step closer to getting them. So
closer than I've ever been.
Closer than you've ever been.